Hi everyone, Empress Justice here, aka Fabian Deacon. Um, I haven't had much sleep, admittedly. Sorry, before I get to that, if you want to check out my Instagram, for Real Justice Tarot, you can check out my readings for the 8th of March 2022. You can check that out at Real Justice Tarot on Instagram, but you can also check it out on Twitter. Just go to www.twitter.com/justice_tarot. I'll leave the links in the description on both Instagram and YouTube. If you want to follow Fabian Deacon Vocals, you can do that as well. I'm on Instagram as Fabian Deacon Vocals, or if you want to go to the website, it's www.instagram.com/Fabian Deacon Vocals. I'll leave the links in the description. So, with that in mind, again, I have to say I didn't get much sleep last night. I don't think the family upstairs got any sleep last night. And honestly, I don't necessarily feel bad. I just feel that, sometimes when I say things about people, I can be really harsh, but at the same time, I just feel like I can't really help what's happening to me. If I'm literally being tortured every night, it doesn't matter where I am, nobody's getting any sleep. And it's not because I want to make up my mind to keep people awake. It's not like that. It's just that when it comes to me going to sleep at night, what happens is that REM sleep and like nighttime hours are usually the most opportune, they're normally the most opportune times for torture because, as you guys know, if you don't get any proper sleep, it can cause heart defects, it can cause, all kinds of mental health problems. So, for you to be tortured electronically during your sleep, that's the time when stuff like this is normally done. And it can have either one of two effects. Either it can cause me to not sleep at all, or it can cause me to sleep sporadically, but definitely not nearly enough to make up for everything that's happened. So yesterday I had an anxious and depressive episode. There is a combination of reasons as to why that's been happening. First of all, like I have a myriad, like just without the torture alone, just without the electronic torture by itself, like I have a myriad of problems. I have like BPD, complex PTSD, fucking fibroids, which causes anxiety and depression. I've got premenstrual dysmorphic disorder. I've got seasonal affective disorder. I've got all these disorders building up inside of me. And then on top of that, I've been staying at home for like the longest time now. I haven't been out very much. I only go out to go to the shops across the road now because I've just become increasingly withdrawn. Not just with all the stuff that I already have without the torture, but just the stress of the harassment and the stress of the electronic torture every single day. And it's not even just every night, it's every single day. It's just that it's worse during the night because that's when you're supposed to be resting. That's how you're kept off balance and you're kept, off kilter. And last night in particular, I was electronically cut like under my foot right here. And I think you can even see where I've been cut. Hang on. Let me just look. Because the thing is, yeah, you can see it. Look, I'm going to show you now. Right? So, sorry. Under my foot right here. I don't know if you can see it. There are marks here. There's a scratch right here where the electronic weapon hit. Let me see if I can follow my finger. Yeah, there's a scratch right here where the electronic weapon was hit at the bottom of my foot last night. And then on top of that, I was shocked as well. I had electroshocks. I could feel it from the midsection, but I have a feeling that they actually fired it at my head. My whole body felt an electric shock. It was really, really nasty. And then after that, I felt tremors all over my body. And I could feel myself going from an anxious episode into a psychotic episode. So what I had to do during that time was, take deep breaths, try to put my mind in a more restful state, try to relax. I didn't get any sleep, but I did manage to kind of make myself relax a little bit. So I suffered from electronic shocks and electronic attacks last night. And then on top of that, I've been hit at the back of my brain. As you know, that's where the cerebellum is, and that affects your cognitive thinking, and it affects your, not your cognitive thinking, but it affects your reflexes and your coordination. So I've been hit at the back here, rather here a lot. That affects your rhythm as well. If you're hit back here, where the cerebellum is, it affects your coordination, which affects your rhythm. And I've been fired at right here, which affects the higher mind. So yeah, I mean, with me staying indoors and me being surrounded by technology, it was only a matter of time before the electronic weapons got a decent read on me. So that is why, you know, that is why, the remote electronic torture was able to do its thing. It's because it was easy to get a read of me. I was stressed out. I was surrounded by tech all the time. It was easy to get a read on me. So yeah, it was really, really nasty last night. It was really bad. Um, so it's not just the neighbors. It's never just the neighbors. I mean, I say a lot of harsh shit about them, and to be honest, all of it is true. But it's not just them. Like I said, the more emotionally sensitive a person is, or a perpetrator is the more annoying they're going to be, and the more focused they're going to get. But the truth of the matter is, it's not just the family, it's not just them. It's not just them. The the fact of the matter is that the crux of this is about electronic weaponry. It's about electronic torture. It's about directed energy weaponry and acoustic weaponry and psychotropic weaponry. Um, I don't know if I believe this or not, but apparently military technology, I'm going to look this up for myself later. Apparently military technology is literally 25 years ahead of consumer technology. Now, I was thinking it was 50 years ahead, but apparently not. Apparently it's 25 years ahead. So military technology is usually 25 years ahead of civilian technology. The kind of technology that I'm talking about, you guys are not going to know about until a whole generation later. Well, not the mainstream anyway. You're not going to know about it until like a whole generation later. But then, given how fast technology actually progresses, it might be sooner than that. It might be like in the next 10 years, like this whole stuff becomes mainstream. People are already talking about Havana syndrome and how it's been affecting people. So people are already talking about it. It's not just something that I'm making up or, you know, propping up at the top of my head. I've been studying into this for, you know, a decade plus change, like a good 15 years, like more than that even. So the whole thing about directed energy weaponry and acoustic weaponry and all that stuff, it's not made up. None of it is made up. All of it is true. But it's just that the technology that the military uses is way more advanced than anything that we have. So people who end up talking about it, it's very easy to write them off as crazy, because if it's not consumer technology, then people don't care. And if people don't care, they're not going to research it. And if they're not going to research it, then they're not going to know. So they'll just assume that you're crazy, or out of their own fear, they'll project that onto you and make out like you're irrational. But the truth of the matter is that this affects my life more than anything. Like the electronic torture affects my life more than anything. And the only reason I don't talk about it that much in comparison to the harassment is because, in comparison to the harassment, which feels like it can be more easily controlled, which is why it angers me more, the remote technology is a different thing entirely. First of all, the range capabilities of directed energy weaponry and acoustic weaponry and psychotropic weapons and remote neural monitoring, the range capabilities of that shit means that it literally could be coming from anywhere. It doesn't even have to be coming from anybody in this village, even though it's it's very likely that it is. It doesn't have to come from anybody in this village because the long range capabilities of this shit are next level. So that's not easily controlled. That's not something that I can just, I can't just ring up every door and every house and say, hey, are you using electronic weapons on me? Because first of all, it's remote. So even if, let's just say for argument's sake, right, that one of my neighbors was doing it. I'm not saying they are, but let's just say for argument's sake that one of my neighbors is doing it. Just because they're pressing the button, it doesn't automatically mean that they've got access to the weapons themselves. Because if it's remote operated technology, it could be drones operating it. It could be operated from like a far off place or something like that. The way it works is basically like Google, but with torture weapons. So even if I knew who was pressing the button, that doesn't necessarily mean that I know exactly where the attacks are coming from. So in comparison to the harassment, which is very easy to control, it's very easy to talk about and control. This situation right here with the remote technology, which is basically at the root of everybody's problems right now, the electronic torture, that's not so easy to talk about, and that's not so easily controllable, which is why I tend not to focus on that. It doesn't mean that the neighbors don't have anything to account for though, because their behavior has been vile. And and the thing is, they expect everybody else to make so much concessions for them, and they have no control over their family. They have no control over their emotions, no control over their no self-discipline, and they expect everybody else to fill that void for them. And for me, that's not fair. I don't understand why me, or the restaurant business there, or the nail bar there, I don't understand why everybody else should have to be more restrained and more reserved and have more discipline than these people with the family. I'm not assuming that it's an easy thing to do. I've been in a family, like, I know how rough it is for parents, and especially for mothers, because you have to remember all the shit that they go through just to have kids. And then on top of that, you got to raise them. Like, you're fucking drained of everything that you have, like physically and emotionally. And then on top of that, you've got to raise a being that is completely dependent on you. On top of that, who can't help it. They need you, they can't help it. So it's like that whole fucking shit about parenthood is rough as fuck. But hear what, right? That is your shit. That is your shit. You need to learn how to handle your shit. You need to learn how to handle your emotions. You made the choices that you made. You need to learn how to handle it. It is not fair for me to go into my own room, get tortured even worse in there than I do in here, interrupt everybody's sleep. Because the thing is, if I sleep in my own room, it's not just the kids that don't get any sleep. It's you that doesn't get any sleep, and it's the people behind me that don't get any sleep. It's not just the kids, it's everybody. So there is no way that I should be moved to that right there, to ruin everybody's fucking sleep just so that you can feel comfortable and less guilty about what you've been doing to me. That's not fair. That is not fair. For me, it's just like, no, no, you can't be doing that shit. That's out of pocket. That is completely out of pocket. And for you, and for any of this bullying and shit to go on for 5 months, it's not on. It's really not on. You can make all the excuses you want. It's not on. Sort your shit out. And then on top of that, like, I swear I heard somebody use the P word when they were walking upstairs there. So basically, not only did your family disrespect me, your family disrespected people that ain't even done anything wrong to you, that did nothing to you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you've got literally no respect for anyone, and you want everybody to accommodate to you and your failure. Fix up. I'm sick of it. Sick of it, man. You're not only disrespectful to me for 5 months, but you're also going to be disrespectful to neighbors who have done nothing to you. Over something that I can't control. I can't control being tortured every day. I can't control that shit. I went into a rant now. It started off as being informative and shit, and then it just descended into a rant. It always descends into rants with me. But I don't care, man. Fix your shit. I'm literally being tortured every single day of my life, on top of all the illnesses that I already have. I've come all the way here from a city, from a city where I've called home for 34 years. I don't have nobody. I barely have any friends. Okay? And I'm still getting through it. You've got a whole village of people looking out for you, taking care of you, making sure you're all right. Fix the fuck up. I mean, I'm completely on my fucking own. I don't have no cheering section behind me. And yet my shit's together. Fixed up. And I'm being tortured. And I'm being tortured on top of that. I'm being betrayed by almost everybody that claims to care about me. And I still find a way through it. Fix up, man. Fix the fuck up. There is no excuse. None. You got a whole cheering section behind you. You got a whole village behind you. You ain't got my problems. Yeah, so I felt really bad last night, and like the anxiety and everything had just reached a crescendo. But now it's weird. Now that everything is kind of piling on top of me, it feels like it's only now that I'm able to think more clearly about things. And I think the electro the electroshock to my system and probably to my brain, I think that played a part in kind of, because mentally ill people still get electroshock treatment. Only with a targeted individual you get that remotely. So um I think it has the same effect. It's kind of dulled my mind, but in dulling my mind, it slowed my mind down enough for me to actually get clear about what the real issue is. And the real issue is electronic torture, it's directed energy weaponry, and it's the fact that what I'm going through is a lifelong campaign. That's at the root of all this. I could say that my neighbors upstairs are perps, and they are, but at the root of all of this is electronic torture and electronic that shit. I cannot control that shit. I can't control it because it's remote. It's remote and it's operated by partially by, I'd be willing to bet it's operated partially by artificial intelligence anyway. So this, when I say this shit is some shit that I can't control, I'm telling the truth. You know, I was borderline about to have a psychotic episode, because of all the torture that I was going through whilst I was trying to fucking sleep. That's how bad it was. That's how bad it got. But now it's like I have the capacity to think more clearly because I don't have all these other thoughts in my way at the moment because my mind's been dulled by the torture crap. And the whole point of the torture was to dull my mind long enough for me to not understand what's really going on, but instead it's had the opposite effect. And now I can speak with absolute clarity that, yeah, at the root of this is electronic torture that I can't control. And you being perps up there and you spying on me and talking shit to everybody and telling everybody, oh, there's something wrong with it. I've already said there's something wrong with me. But does that mean I'm lying? Does that mean I'm making it up? You lot can go and look for yourselves. I ain't got shit to make up. No, I ain't got shit to make up. What? Do you seriously think that somebody who's mentally ill or somebody who has sociopathic tendencies is going to make up shit this outlandish, knowing that nobody's going to believe it? Come on now. Come on now. Ain't nobody about to make this shit up. And if you don't understand that, you're an idiot. If you like, you clearly an idiot who doesn't understand how mental health works. If you're listening to all of this thinking, oh, she's got something wrong with her, well, if I have something wrong with me, does that mean I'm lying or imagining it? When literally there have been mainstream media outlets talking about Havana syndrome and saying it's real, and not only that, trying to blame the Russians for it. Like, come the fuck on now. Like, come on. Ain't nobody gonna make this shit up. How did it help me? How did any of that help me? Let's just say, for argument's sake, that my mental illness would cause me to make something like this up. How has it actually helped me? What, get me some pip? How has it helped me? I'm just saying, just let me know. Let me fucking know. How has it helped me to talk about electronic weaponry and directed energy weaponry and acoustic weaponry? How has it helped me in the grand scheme of things? All that's ever done is made me a magnet for people trying to section me. So how has it helped me? What am I getting out of this? What would anybody get out of lying about shit like this? Knowing that there's no help anywhere. Come on, man. Come on, man. The workmen are back. They've got to fix the roof. And now they're playing their radio. I don't understand why they didn't do that before. That's what the construction men normally do. They normally play their radio and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, so, but anyway, is there anything else I got to add? Yeah, so I was shocked in the middle of the night last night. I was cutting my foot, and you can see where the wound is, like barely. Yeah, you can see where the scratch is barely on my foot. I think I'll take a photo of it and show you guys. And yeah, I didn't get much sleep. I got out all my feelings yesterday, and I had a bit of a cry. Well, not a bit of a cry, a lot of a cry. I've been having crying fits for the last few days. And I noticed that what I tend to do when I'm going through a situation that's stressful to me, I tend to dissociate, and instead of actually focusing my anger towards the problem at hand, I would revert back to a past memory that made me angry, or I would revert back to past trauma that made me angry. And I wouldn't deal with the matter at hand that was making me angry, but I changed that yesterday. I dealt with the matter at hand that made me angry. I called the Samaritans again, and of course, they were about as useful as a cock flavored lollipop. Um, but they did help. It did help me to get it out and to kind of, focus on what the actual problem was rather than blaming a past trauma or blaming a past issue or dissociating again. It felt really good to actually just deal with what was going on at the moment. And what was going on at the moment was that I was being continuously harassed, and nobody seemed to be doing anything about it or able to do anything about it. And it was stressing me out, and it was making me sick, and it was making me, you know, not well. Right. And being able to get it out and cry about it, what I noticed is that when I started crying and getting it out, the weakness in my legs started to dissipate. So the crying from yesterday, it lessened my anxiety and it made me feel better about everything that was going on. And it felt really good to cry. Normally, I try to avoid being vulnerable in front of people, and especially in front of people who want to make me vulnerable, because I don't want them to feel like they've won. But then what ends up happening is that they push me into feeling vulnerable. I end up crying or getting it out of my system. And then at the end of it all, I end up feeling better through being vulnerable than they do watching me be vulnerable. I end up feeling better through getting my feelings out than they do for provoking those feelings in the first place. So it's basically a win for me. I mean, it's just funny how all of the things that I don't like, being vulnerable, like going out, exercising, all of these things that I don't like are all the things that make me feel better about myself. It's weird. But anyway, listen, I gotta go before this rant gets even more self-indulgent. I've done my readings today, so I don't know what else I've got to do. I could go out, but I don't really feel like it because of all the torture and attacks last night. I think I'm just gonna rest. I'm gonna rest for as long as I need to, and then I'm gonna go out. Try not to spend too much money, but yeah. Anyway, my fellow TIs, I love you guys. Take care. Bye bye.